Welcome to Influential Sports, and today I'm gonna be doing my college football playoff predictions. And this is all my opinion on what I think is gonna happen. So please be respectful, but leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's dive right into it. The first matchup, we got the 12-5. We got Clemson at number 12. Number 5 is Texas. This game is gonna be really intriguing. Clemson, they went 2-3. Well, they went 10-3. They're 1-2 in their ranked games. They lost against Georgia, but they were able to beat South Carolina and SMU, and the SMU game was for the conference. Clemson has a great defense led by T.J. Parker. The biggest thing with Clemson is, can Cade Klubnik control the turnovers? He's been able to do it this season, but that has to continue throughout the playoffs, and especially in this first game if they have a chance of getting any further. And then also Phil Moffitt, how well is he going to play? He has over 1,000 rushing yards on the season, so he should be pretty good in this game. Texas, they went 11-2. They went 4-2 in ranked matchups. Both of their L's came against Georgia. They were able to beat Michigan, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, and Texas A&M. So they did look good in their ranked games. Have a really good defense. But Texas X Factor is their kicker, Brett Auburn. He's only 6-13 from 40 or more yards. Their running back isn't super consistent. He definitely has his games where he'll go off. Other games where he just looks below average. And then it really comes down to what Quinn Ewers to do in that game. Will he be spectacular? Will he be bad in that game? So I am taking Clemson because I think it's more flaws with Texas than it is with Clemson. So I'm taking Clemson in this game to advance to go to the quarterfinals. Next, we got Tennessee and Ohio State. This one is really a toss-up because Tennessee's 9, Ohio State 8. Both teams went 10-2. Tennessee was 3-1 in ranked matchups. Their only ranked L was against Georgia, but they beat Oklahoma, Alabama, and North Carolina State. They only gave up 20 or more points once all season. Then their running back, Dylan Sampson, he's been great all season. So he definitely got to continue that in that game. They have a great defense with James Pierce, but they're another team that has kicker problems. Their kicker, Gilbert, he's 7-12 on field goals from 40 or more yards. So that's not a good look. Then for Ohio State, they went 2-1 in ranked games. Only loss in ranked games came against Oregon, but they were able to beat Indiana and Penn State, who are some other teams we're going to get to. They got an elite defensive unit. The running back duo of Juckins and Henderson is really good. Jeremiah Smith, he's one of the best receivers in the nation this year, so it's going to be hard for Tennessee to stop him. Oh yeah, their kicker isn't. Well, their kicker is kicking 70% from 30 to 49 yards, 7-10, so not terrible, but definitely hope he doesn't miss one of those in that game. This one was really a toss-up. Like, it was really hard to pick. But I think the problems with Tennessee's kicker being 7-12 from 40-plus yards, like if this is a close game, then and it has to come down to him making it from a distance that long, of a minimum of 40, that's not going to be the best look. And even though Tennessee's defense has been really good this season, I'm taking Ohio State to advance to the quarterfinals. But I could definitely see the argument for why people might think Tennessee would advance. But this one, like I said, it's a toss-up. And really all these games are hard to predict, especially with the new 12-team format. Then you got the 11 SMU versus number 6 Penn State. Both of these teams went 11-2. SMU, they were 2-1 in ranked matchups. They lost versus Clemson, but they beat Louisville and Pittsburgh. Now the defense, it can be up and down at times. Now they are top 7 in sacks, or with 40 sacks, one of the 7 teams with 40 sacks. But it definitely be, and it's not really the defensive line, it's more the corners and stuff. They can definitely be inconsistent. Kevin Jennings, I do think it's the X factor. He's been a really solid quarterback this year, and he has to be on his A game for them to make a run. Then with Penn State, they went 1-2 in ranked games. They won against Indiana, but they lost to Ohio State and Oregon. They have a really good defense. Tyler Warren is definitely going to be the X factor. That's charged tight end. If SMU is able to take him out of the game, they can win this easily. But if they're not, it's definitely going to be a battle. Then they got defensive players like Jalen Reed and Abdul Carter for Penn State. So it's not going to be easy with them two on defense. So once again, and I think all of these games will come down to the wire. Now probably will be one game that disappoints, and you don't know which one that'll be. But I feel like these games should be competitive. I'm taking SMU to win this. I like their. It's a slight difference with them being 2-1 and Penn State being 1-2 in ranked games. But those records in ranked games are really important because it shows, are you able to get those wins when you need them. Obviously, SMU couldn't get that last win against Clemson. That probably would have got them higher than 11. But they still won in 2 ranked games they had before that. So still got to take that into account. And if their defense was good enough, if their defense can be good enough to take Tyler Warren out of this game, because he can play multiple positions, so they really got to take him out of the game, and there's not much else Penn State to be able to do if that happens. Then you got the 7-10, which is 10 is Indiana and 7 is Notre Dame. They're both 11-1. Now the thing with Indiana is they didn't play a lot of competition. They only played one ranked game, and they lost it, and it was against Ohio State. They lost 38-15. So that's not the best look. They only gave up 20 or more points 3 times out of the 12 games that they played. But once again, the schedule isn't super strong. I think they have one of the weaker strengths of schedules in this playoffs. And then with Cooper, Price, Williams, and Satter, you have a great wide receiver room. But I just don't know how good they'll look versus Notre Dame, a team that went 11-1 and went 4-0 in ranked matchups, beating Texas A&M, Louisville, Navy, and Army. Then when they beat Navy and Army, both of those teams were hot at the time. Like, they were on fire. And then they beat teams like Louisville and Texas A&M. Those are their ranked wins. Now, Riley Leonard, he's had a great season. Now, he's going to be the X factor in this. He has to stay consistent. He has to have a really good game. And I think he will. And I'm taking Notre Dame to win this. Now, this game could be the one that's a blowout. Now, looking at it and speaking through it, like, they have a really good defense led by Mills and Hinkett. They lead in defense, so I think this game might be the one of the 3 first-round matchups that disappoints. Even though record-wise they both says 11-1. Indiana didn't play the best competition, and in one ranked game they played, they got blew out. So I think this game will be a blowout. So kind of backtracking what I said earlier. But Notre Dame, they're gonna win this easily. Now their kicker, they're 8-18 on field goals this season with 3 different kickers. So I think that's gonna cost them down. I think that's gonna cost them in the playoffs. But I got them advancing in this first game. Now we can get to the quarterfinal matchups. So for the quarterfinals, I have Clemson and Arizona State matching up. I have Ohio State matching up with Oregon. I have SMU matching up with Boise State. I have Notre Dame matching up with Georgia. And then at the end of the video, I have my bracket so y'all will be able to see it in case you forget. But now, Arizona State, they went 11-2, went 4-0 in ranked games. They beat Utah, Kansas State, BYU, and Iowa State, and that was to win their conference. Their defense can be on and off at times. They don't get a lot of pressure, and they only have 21 sacks on the season. They're 9-17 on field goals with 3 different kickers, so that's also not good. So that definitely could be a concern if they match up with either Clemson or Texas, no matter who they match up with. But in this scenario, I got them matching up with Clemson. But I think their record of them being 4-0 in ranked games, I think that's going to be what helps them get the edge in this game. Because the X factor I got for Arizona State is Cam Escobedo. He has over 2K rushing and receiving yards combined and 22 touchdowns on the season. So he has to be great for them. Then you got Keith Abney on defense. Like I said, they don't get a ton of pressure. So that could definitely be in Clemson's favor. But I think, but they definitely fare better. They would probably, they'll probably fare better. Yeah, they fare better against Clemson. Even if they played Texas, it's really hard to pick with Arizona State because out of that three, like between Clemson, Texas, and whoever wins that, and then who goes against Arizona State, it's not like whoever between those three teams get to the semifinals, that's when they're losing. Because I don't think any three of those teams really being able to make a deep run. But I do have Arizona State going to the semifinals. Now for the Oregon and Ohio State, Oregon went 13-0 this season, went 3-0 in ranked games against Ohio State, Illinois, and Penn State. So two of those teams I named, which is Ohio State and Penn State, they're both in the playoffs. And they're playing Ohio State. Now that game, I'm pretty sure that was a really close game when they played. Don't remember. But uh back to Oregon, 40 sacks on the year, top 7 uh in college football this year. Held opponents to less than 20 points 9 times. Got a really good defense. Dylan Gabriel, he's been amazing with 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Then you got Johnson, Stewart, Holder, Ferguson, and that Johnson, Stewart, Holder, the wide receiver room, Ferguson, a tight end, Jordan James, running back, just elite at the skill positions. All four, there's 3 receivers and their tight end all have 500 plus yards this year. And then Jordan James, he has over 1,000 rushing yards. So I think that's so Oregon. I think they're going far. It's gonna be hard to stop them. They find ways to win, even in games that they struggle. Like they're the only team in here that's undefeated. So I'm picking Oregon to beat Ohio State once again. I do think this will be close, just like the first matchup. Don't see this being a blowout at all. Ohio State will definitely have a chance if they end up meeting up. Now, if they play Tennessee, I don't know how I feel about that because they didn't play Tennessee during the season. But if that happens, we'll get to that road when it's that time. At the next matchup, SMU versus Boise State. Boise State went 12-1, played 2 ranked games. They lost to Oregon by 3, and that was like the second or third week of the season. Then their win was against UNLV to win the Mountain West. Ashton Genty, 127 or more yards each game, 2,497 total yards, 29 touchdowns. Well, that's not total yards, that's rushing yards. 29 rushing touchdowns, 7.3 yards per carry, 20 receptions, 116 yards, and 1 touchdown. Ashton Genty has been elite. It's nothing you can say about him. Like, no matter who they play, like, even that game against Oregon early in the season, he was phenomenal that game. Like I said, they only lost to Oregon 37-34. So Genty, in most of these games, he hasn't played in the fourth quarter. So it's like, and then they got a decent quarterback, Madison. They got him playing quarterback. So the thing with Boise, I do think they'll beat SMU. It's gonna be a competitive game, but I think with SMU's defense kind of being up and down, it's gonna be tough. So I think that's really what it comes down to. Like, how good will the defense be? Like, they're able to get pressure, but then when it comes to them corners and stuff, I think those receivers from Boise State will be able to step up. And even if you get Genty involved in the passing game a little bit, I think he'll still do pretty decent. And I got Boise State winning that matchup. Now, if Boise was to play Penn State, I think it might be a little different. Because like I said, it all depends on if SMU can stop Tyler Warren. So if they can't stop him, then I don't know if Boise State can stop him. But yeah. Oh, and one thing I didn't mention about Boise State, they have 51 sacks this season, worth 347 sack yards. They had the second most sacks in the FBS and the second most sack yardage this year. So that's another reason why I had them beating SMU in that game. Then get to the last matchup of the quarterfinals, Notre Dame and Georgia. I think Georgia's blowing out Notre Dame in this game. Georgia won 11-2, 4-2 in ranked matchups. Their only losses came against Alabama and Ole Miss. They beat Clemson, beat Tennessee, and they beat Texas twice. Now they had 6 games of giving up 20 or more points, and they went 4-2. So those other games, they went 7-0 in that they didn't blow, that they didn't give up that many points, where they didn't give up 20 plus points. And now the thing is, their running back either Nate Frazier or Trevor Etienne are gonna have to step up, because it's only been one game this season where one of them had 100 or more yards. So both of them had to step up for them to advance. But I think Carson Beck, he's been pretty solid this season. Definitely could have played better. He has 12 interceptions on the season, kind of a high number. But the thing is, now their defense can be inconsistent at times. They lost by 18 against Ole Miss and went to 8 overtimes for Georgia Tech. Neither one of those things are impressive. Even winning against Georgia Tech, going to 8 overtimes is the most ideal thing that you want to happen. But I don't think Notre Dame, even though they went 4-0 in ranked matchups, number one, Georgia's played more ranked matchups. Number two, Georgia has the better quarterback. Then I think and then on defense, even though I said it can be consistent, Jalen Walker, Chaz, and Chambliss, they both have 6.5 sacks on the season. So if they get to Riley Leonard, it's going to be over for Notre Dame. Now, I think out of the competition that Notre Dame played, Georgia definitely played better competition. I definitely think that gives them the edge. And Georgia's been here before. They've consistently been here. So I think Georgia will blow out Notre Dame. Now I'm getting to the semifinals. I have Arizona State and Oregon matching up. This will be a really fun game, but like I said, the only undefeated team in here, I do have Oregon advancing. I think Dylan Gabriel is going to be great. That wide receiver room of Johnson, Stewart, Holder, it's been amazing. Got Jordan James as the running back. They're a top 7 team in sacks. They're not giving up a lot of points. So it's just hard for me to see Oregon losing to Arizona State. And that's that I mentioned about them being 9-17 on field goals. Like, that's going to come back to bite them. Like, what people don't understand is that that's really important. Like, you see Notre Dame is 8-18 with 3 different kickers. The Gilbert dude from Tennessee, he's 7-12 on field goals from 40 plus. Arizona State 9-17 on field goals for 3 different kickers. Like, I really value special teams and understand how important it is to have a good special teams to win. So those stats are eye-opening, but not in a good way. I don't think that's the only factor to it, but I also think with Arizona State's defense not being super consistent and getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, I feel like that's definitely going to hurt them against Oregon, a team with Dylan Gabriel and with elite wide receivers, and they have one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the league or in college football. So I have Oregon going to the national championship. Then you get to the 3-2 matchup with Boise State and Georgia. Now this might be a surprise, but I'm actually going with Boise State. I feel like Georgia's defense is too inconsistent to go all the way to the national championship. Even though they have a winning record when they give up 20 or more points, some of those games aren't the most impressive. Like, you lose to Ole Miss by 18 in a game you shouldn't lose. You go to 8 overtimes with Georgia Tech in a game that shouldn't last that long. They should have been won that game. Then they're 7-0 when they don't give up 20 or more points. But it's hard for me to see Boise State not getting at least 20 points against Georgia. And like I mentioned, they're one of the 2 teams in the FBS with 50 sacks this season. You just don't get 50 sacks. Like, any team doesn't just do that. Like, you have to have a winning record to do something like that. And I don't see anybody on Georgia stopping Ashton Dempsey. Like they're second in the FBS in sacks. They're had the most sack yardage. And I think Ashton Genty is going to be phenomenal, and they're going to go on a run. So then you get to the championship, which I have Oregon and Boise State. I think Oregon finishes the season 16-0. I think Oregon wins all 3 of their games. I think they go undefeated. Like I said, that wide receiver room is elite. Dylan Gabriel is amazing. Jordan James has been a good running back. They have probably the best defense in the FBS this year. And they already matched up before, so I think the way that they scheme against Ashton Genty is definitely going to be different. And the way that Boise State schemes against Dylan Gabriel is going to be different. Like, it's going to be a lot different from the first matchup. It won't be the same at all. The first matchup was 37-34. I could see this being like a 20-19 game. Like, both of these coaches, these teams, they're going to scheme differently to try to get the win. This is definitely going to be a down-to-the-wire game. This is the matchup that I'm predicting, but I have Oregon winning. No matter how this plays out, I'm picking Oregon to win the national championship this year. But that is it for my video on my college football predictions for the playoffs. Please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you thought in the comments below. Peace.